I haven't looked at a photograph in 3 years. My therapist thinks I'm avoiding grief. She's wrong. I'm avoiding something worse. My brother Daniel and I were never close. Same house, same parents, totally different people. He had friends over constantly. I kept to myself. We'd go days without really talking. It wasn't hostile, we just existed separately. When he died in a car accident my junior year of college, I felt guilty about how little I felt. I cried at the funeral, but honestly, it was more about the absence than the loss. We'd barely spoken that semester. What got to me was watching my parents. My mother went quiet, my father aged overnight. I started coming home weekends because someone had to. That summer, my mother asked me to clean out Daniel's room. She couldn't do it. My father wouldn't acknowledge it needed doing. His room was frozen in high school. Band posters, baseball trophies, textbooks, and junk on his desk. Like a museum exhibit for someone I'd lived with but never really knew. I found the photo album in his closet, behind a box of cleats. Cheap drugstore album, blue cover, nothing special. I opened it because I was curious, wanted to see what Daniel thought was worth keeping. First pages were normal. Family vacations. Him with friends at parties. Some were dated on the back in his handwriting. Then I got to a section that made me stop. Pictures of me. Not family photos, pictures of me. Walking across campus, sitting in the library, at a coffee shop. In most of them, I had no idea I was being photographed. There were dozens. Me leaving class, waiting at a bus stop, in the grocery store. The dates went back 3 years. I figured maybe he'd visited campus more than I remembered, took some candid shots. We barely talked during college, so I might have just forgotten. But some were taken when I knew Daniel couldn't have been there. One showed me at a diner near campus, dated during his sophomore year at a different school 3 hours away. Another was me entering my dorm on a Tuesday morning. He had classes then. I kept turning pages. The photos got more frequent, multiple shots from the same day, different angles. And they were taken from weird places, across streets, through second-story windows, from inside cars. Then I saw one that made my hands go cold. It was taken through my dorm window, me at my desk in profile, reading on my laptop. The angle meant he'd been standing in the parking lot below with a zoom lens. I checked the date, November 18th, 2013. I remembered that night, first panic attack I ever had. I'd been studying and suddenly couldn't breathe, convinced someone was watching me. I closed the curtains, feeling like an idiot. Someone had been watching. I sat on his bed for a while, trying to think of an explanation, a photography class project, something normal. But I'd seen his transcripts after he died. No photography classes. The later pages got worse. Closer shots, more intimate. Me through windows, me sleeping, me changing clothes. 5 photos of me changing. Different days, partially undressed, clearly alone in my own room. I closed the album. Thought about telling my parents. Thought about what it would do to them. I decided to check his computer first. His laptop was old, battery dead. I plugged it in and waited. No password. Default blue desktop. I found a folder buried in downloads labeled PC. Photography Club. Had to be. The innocent explanation I'd been looking for. I opened it. Hundreds more photos. All of me. Organized by year and month. Meticulously labeled. And a Word document. Observations. I opened it. A journal. Dated entries. The first from August 2010, right after I started college. Followed subject to orientation event. Subject appeared uncomfortable in social settings. Sat alone for lunch break. Made brief eye contact when I took the first photo. Did not seem to recognize me. Subject. He called me subject. I scrolled down. Subject has established routine, leaves dorm at 8:45 a.m. on weekdays, takes the same route to the library, prefers corner table on third floor. I can photograph from building across street without being noticed. Subject went to off-campus party tonight, left after 30 minutes, appeared distressed, walked home alone. I followed at safe distance. Subject seemed unaware. Interesting development. Subject has started closing curtains more frequently, may have detected surveillance, will need to be more careful. That one was dated November 19th, the day after my panic attack. The entries got longer, more detailed. He documented what I ate, who I talked to, what classes I took. He noted when I seemed happy or sad, speculated about my thoughts. It was clinical, detached, like I was a specimen. February 2014, 2 months before he died. Subject looked at me directly today. We were in the same building for the first time in months. I thought I'd been careful about avoiding direct contact, but she was leaving the registrar's office as I was entering. We were 3 feet apart. She looked at me for several seconds. Then she looked away and kept walking. She didn't recognize me. Her own brother. I was right there and she had no idea who I was. I read it again. She didn't recognize me. That didn't make sense. I'd know my own brother. We grew up together. I scrolled to the last entry. March 28th, 2014, a week before his death. I can't do this anymore. 3 years of documentation and I'm no closer to understanding. The experiment has failed. The subject continues to show no awareness, no recognition, no connection. Even when directly confronted with my presence, she treats me as a stranger. I've tried different approaches, different locations, different times of day. Nothing changes. I'm starting to believe that whatever I'm looking for doesn't exist. Maybe it never did. The photographs prove I'm there. The data proves I'm engaging. But to her, I'm invisible. Not metaphorically, actually invisible. Or he is to me. One of us isn't real, and I'm terrified it might be me. I just sat there. I tried to picture Daniel's face. Couldn't, not clearly. When I thought of my brother, I got a vague impression, a general shape, nothing specific. I went downstairs. My mother was in the kitchen. "Mom, can you describe Daniel to me?" She looked up. Her expression flickered. Confusion, then something else. "What do you mean?" "Just describe him. Hair color, height, anything." Long silence. Then, "He was your brother. You know what he looked like. I want to hear you say it." Her hands tightened on her coffee mug. "Why are you asking me this? Please." She stood and left. Came back with a framed photo from the funeral, set it on the table. "This is your brother." The photo showed a young man in a suit next to a casket. Dark hair, average build. His face was turned slightly away. "You can barely see his face," I said. My mother sat down hard. "That's the only photograph we have where he's clearly in frame." "That's not true. There are pictures everywhere." "Look at them. Really look." I went to the living room. Family vacation photo on the mantel. My parents smiling. Me between them, maybe 12. And a fourth person at the edge, out of focus. Birthday party photo. My father's arm around someone's shoulders, but that someone was mostly cropped out, just a shoulder visible. Every photograph in the room, the fourth person was always obscured, turned away, blurred, partially out of frame, never quite visible. I went back to the kitchen. My mother was crying. "Mom, what's happening?" She shook her head. "I don't know. I've asked myself for 25 years. What? Since you were born, we brought you home from the hospital and there were 2 cribs in the nursery. Your father saw them too. We didn't remember buying 2 cribs, didn't remember being pregnant with twins. But there they were, 2 babies. And all the paperwork said we had 2 children, birth certificates, hospital records, everything. You're saying you don't remember having Daniel? We remember raising him, first day of school, baseball games, graduation, but the memories feel wrong, like something we were told happened. And when I try to picture his face, she trailed off. Why didn't you say anything? What would I say? That I don't remember my own son's face, but have 18 years of memories anyway? We thought we were losing our minds, both of us. We never talked about it because we were too afraid. I thought about the journal. She didn't recognize me. Daniel knew something was wrong, I said. My mother nodded. I think he spent his whole life trying to prove he existed, trying to understand why we couldn't see him, why you couldn't. I saw him. I remember him. Do you? His face? His voice? Any real conversation? I tried. There was nothing. Just the idea of a brother. Knowledge